Okay? When you inhale, make the volume as big as you can. When you exhale, make the volume as small as you can.
So when you were doing that, you were exhaling?
Exhaling, I was doing this. Okay? Okay. Now, the other, and it'll say, when you're doing this, it'll say, take some normal breaths. Okay? Take normal breaths, so like you are right now. Y'all are just breathing normally. You're not even thinking about it, right? And then it says, after a normal breath, blow into this, right? So this is what we tend to do with this normal breath. And that's not a normal breath right then, right? When I'll go, no. So you kind of got to catch yourself once you've exhaled, and then you inhale. Now just stop right there. Okay? That's pretty good. Okay, so that's good. So it's just talking about doing those kind of measurements. Okay? So it says do it 3 times, take the average. That way you kind of get to even out any of this big extra breath you might take. Okay? Because really right now what we're breathing is about, it's called our tidal volume. Okay? And it's just about 500 milliliters of air. We're not bringing in any more, not any less. Okay? Just, okay? When you go to the gym, we tend to correct things. So how many times when you're working out at the gym or you've had clients that are there, they'll yawn when they're working out?
All the time.
All the time.
All the time.
Because it's a really easy reset for us. We go, when I yawn, I don't know about y'all, but I do this. Right? That one big breath that I just took in fixes everything, right? And they're contagious, right? Mm-hmm. So when you're doing it, okay, you end up, the whole gym ends up yawning or, making fun of the person that yawned or whatever. So it's a quick reset for us. So what I still have, we have these up here. These are the respirometers, okay? You want to set them to 0, like I said. In there are the little bitty straws, okay? Do their thing, okay? We're going to calculate these different breathing things, and it tells you how to do it. As you read along, it'll say, do this, and then, so do it 3 times, and then divide by 3, okay? That'll get your average, okay? We just want the average. Now, the other thing that I wanted to talk about is what happens to carbon dioxide inside of our lungs, okay? There's a little bit of carbon dioxide inside of our lungs right now, right? 0.3%, that's what it's in the atmosphere, 0.03%, okay? What happens to carbon dioxide production in my body if I start increasing my activity levels?
It increases.
Why would carbon dioxide levels increase if I increase my activity?
Because you're expending more energy.
Expending more energy. What does carbon dioxide have to do with energy?
Mitochondria, it's...
Good, I'm liking this, right? So hopefully, those of you, everybody eat breakfast this morning?
Yes.
Who didn't eat breakfast? Okay, I can't stand y'all. Y'all go, no, just kidding. So, but there should be some food that you can burn, right? Okay? What does that mean?
break fast. So you're breaking your fast.
You're breaking the fast that's been going on all night, right? And there's some people that eat early, like my parents, man, at 5 o'clock, they're eating dinner, right? So that fasting is a lot longer because they don't get up till about 11 o'clock now. They're old, they sleep a lot. That's where I get it from, okay? I can sleep, okay? So that is a fasting, and y'all, it's all over the interweb about intermediate fasting and that kind of stuff right now, as a way to lose weight, a way to get more activity levels, all kinds of stuff. So that's what we're doing with this breakfast. So in our day, at some point, we're going to take in some kind of food, okay? And that food is resident in our digestive system. We're going to move it from the digestive system into the circulatory system, right? What are the three types of foods that give us energy?
Carbs, proteins, and fats.
Fats. Those are the big three, okay? So all three of those get moved into the bloodstream and then eventually to the cells, right? And the cells have these. So the one that, if I'm really having to work at it, if the zombie apocalypse happened and we had to run for our lives, what are we going to burn? We want to burn the fuel that is the fastest to make ATP with?
Carbohydrates.
Carbohydrates, right? And a carbohydrate, let's go with just good old sugar, C6H12O6, okay? And if we have this, and we have a mitochondria, okay? And we have what to run the mitochondria with too? Oxygen.
O2.
Oxygen. We can break this down and make, it's gonna go backwards, ATP.
Energy.
That's our energy source, right?
The ADP.
And then I've got to do something with the carbons, the hydrogens, and the oxygens, and the oxygen. So we know we're going to make CO2, right?
CO2.
And we're going to make
Water.
water. Okay? That's the equation. Okay? That's the equation that we do to break down the food to create energy. That's what the mitochondria, that's what's happening in our mitochondria right now. If we go this way, okay, plants can do this. Plants can take in carbon dioxide and water. Carbon dioxide through their leaves, water through their roots, and in the presence of sunlight, which is an energy source,
Synthesis.
they can synthesize glucose.
Mm-hmm.
How many people eat carrots and they're sweet, right? That's where the sweetness comes from, right? Sugar beets, okay? Sugar cane, all that is from this process of making sugar, okay? They also give off oxygen for us and for the plant, okay? And for the plant. The plant uses oxygen too. We don't really think about that. So, if I work out more, if I have to produce more ATP to do my job, am I going to also produce more CO2?
Yes.
It shows it right here in this equation, right? To make more of this, I got to make more of this, okay? So if we jump in the water and we swim underwater all the way across the pool and we get up on the other side, is there a lot of carbon dioxide that we need to get rid of?
Yes.
Because we did that, right?
Yes.
We did that activity. So when we get out, two things have happened. We've produced a bunch of CO2 we've got to get rid of. We also have to replace the oxygen that we've used. We're in oxygen debt at this point. So that means it's going to look like a big old breath when we come out, right? And I usually throw my head so that my hair, no, that's not right, okay, when I come out of the water. But I come out and I take a big breath, right? That did two things. Got rid of the carbon dioxide, brought me in some oxygen, okay? Yeah.
So when you like hold your breath too long underwater, I've heard people describe like a burning sensation in their chest. Being underwater so long, is that from holding your breath too long?
I don't know if maybe that's the lungs, all those muscles starting to cramp a little bit and that kind of stuff. That's not something that I've experienced myself. So what happens to the carbon dioxide when the carbon dioxide is made and moved into the bloodstream? Okay? We can carry this carbon dioxide. We said that was one of the functions of blood, was to carry oxygen and to a lesser extent carbon dioxide. Okay? And there's three ways that we'll talk about in lecture how we're going to carry this. We're also going to talk in lecture about how we regulate our breathing. Okay? And we change this breathing based on oxygen, based on how much carbon dioxide you produced. Okay? So if you make a bunch of carbon dioxide, that carbon dioxide is going to combine with water and it's going to produce carbonic acid. And what carbonic acid is C.
Okay.
So C, two H's, and O3.
Is that the same thing that's happening with all the fossil fuels that we're pumping in the air? Like,
It can happen. That's where some of that acid rain comes from and that kind of stuff, because there is acidity there.
So, when they put a cannula on somebody and they're increasing their oxygen, do the liters matter, like how fast it's going in? Will that raise their oxygen levels faster?
You bet.
Faster than
You
oxygen?
bet.
What about a hyperbaric oxygen tank? What does that need to do?
That's more pressure.
That's pressure?
Pressure.
Okay.
Okay? So, it's more pressure with oxygen, so something that does not like oxygen, you kill it in that situation.
Like carbon dioxide.
So something that's very aerobic, anaerobic, like tetanus is anaerobic, okay? You can kill it by putting it in too much oxygen.
So that they use the chambers for?
For a lot of those, okay? Okay, so do y'all agree? If there's more carbon dioxide, it's gonna mix with water, and it's gonna produce an acid.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I got here. I have a pH indicator in this. It's called neutral red. No, it's called phenol red, excuse me. Phenol red. And in an acid, it turns yellow. So all there is in this, I swear, is phenol red and a little bit of water. Okay? So if I blow into this, if I blow carbon dioxide into this, we're going to watch it change color. We're going to watch it go from neutral, which is this color here, to yellow. Okay? So watch this. I used to tell students that I could take the urine out of my bladder and move it into this, and move this into my bladder. Kids love that when you can do that. So this is what it looks like.
It's not familiar yet.
I'm starting to.
Oh, it's changing. How long will you have to do this?
Please don't pass out.
It's
Okay?
not yet the end. Oh.
So, it's an acid now, right? That was one breath that we changed that volume, okay?
Wow.
So, now it's an acid. Now, if I leave it here, and that's all I did last night, I did this last night with my class, when I came back, it was pink. Because all the carbon dioxide is gonna leave. It's gonna go from high concentration in here to a lower concentration, it's gonna diffuse out, okay? And I'm gonna see if the class that I've got we got lecture, and then when I got another lecture, then in the afternoon, I've got another lab. So I'm gonna see if I may have to get some more pink to put in there, okay? But hopefully, it'll be back to pink. So we created an acid. So this is how we're gonna regulate oxygen in our bodies. We're gonna regulate it based on carbon dioxide. Do y'all agree? With every exhale, I have to have an equal inhale to blow that air out, right? Okay. So, if I have too much carbon dioxide in my system, I'm working too hard, do I also require oxygen to offset that use of carbon dioxide?
Yes.
Right? Because if I'm making more ATP, I'm using that oxygen, right? In order to do this, okay? One of the things we know, if we work out a lot, when we start working out and we do it consistently for a few weeks, we get better at our breathing. Our muscles put on more mitochondria so they can make more energy, okay? We make more muscle fibers, so we have to have more fuel. Okay? We have to have more fuel. So, if we're going to regulate it based on carbon dioxide, not oxygen, we do not have oxygen sensors in our body. You know how you can go get the little pulse ox thing on the end of your finger? And it tells you how oxygenated you are. Our body does not do that. Okay? What our body does is sense the pH of your blood and cerebrospinal fluid. If we do that, and it starts going down, if the pH of our blood goes down, what's happening? We're making carbonic acid, right? If the pH in our blood goes down, that means there's more CO2. We're making it more acidic, the pH goes down. More acidic,
I thought
pH goes down.
the pH is the alkaline level, right?
Acidity,
I see.
yes.
What are the effects on the body if it gets too much carbon dioxide?
Well, and that's one of the things we're going to try to regulate this. Okay, we're going to try to regulate this to make sure that if we're out of homeostasis with it, that negative feedback mechanism locks us back into homeostasis. So too much CO2, when you think about it, that was you're holding your breath underwater, right? And when you get up, fix it. That's exhaling a lot of this CO2 over time. Okay? And the more fit you are, the less you have to exhale because you replace oxygen better.
Like Michael Phelps.
Doc, you said when the pH level is low, it means you're making more carbon dioxide.
It means you're making more acidity in the blood. It's more acidic, and that's due to you making more carbon dioxide.
But you said the pH level has to do with acid in the
Right.
blood.
And that's this
So-
acid.
Okay,
We're making more of this acid then.
if your pH level is low,
It's going down, yes.
oh, but it's still carbonic acid, right? It's still acid. Acid is acid.
Well, what happens to an acid in water is the carbonic acid gives up its hydrogen. Remember, pH is the number of hydrogen ions in solution. So it does. The carbonic acid turns into this in water. That means I've got a bunch more of these now, right? That means your pH goes down. Okay? So if the pH goes down, what does our body know to do?
Try to regulate.
Increase
Okay.
oxygen intake. And we can do that two different ways.
Respiration.
Volume, affect volume, take a bigger breath. We can also do it based on
This one.
frequency, okay?
But the
And it's not the case, it's not the case. If I get chased by the zombies for a long ways, and when I get to stop, I go, I'm doing a big ventilation, and I'm doing it very quickly. That's getting this carbon dioxide out. That's gonna push this equation back this way so the pH goes back to normal.
Like some deep sea like divers that free dive and stuff like that, they do this exercise where they kind of go and they kind of. What's the purpose of that?
Get as fully oxygenated as you can before you leave.
Okay.
Okay, maximize. It's kind of like carb loading, but your oxygen loading.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So we made an acid. That's the same thing that's going to happen in our blood. Our respiratory system is designed to run on the effects of carbon dioxide or acidity, pH. Okay. So if we get pH differences in the blood that aren't due to carbon dioxide, that are due to other acids, could that affect your breathing? Yes. Okay. So my wife's best friend has a daughter, and she is diabetic. Okay. She was at UNT, living in the dorms, had suite mates with her and her roommate over here. Everybody went away for the weekend. She had a test. Okay. She had one of those insulin pumps, like I told you about my wife having and that kind of stuff, and it became dislodged. So she didn't realize that it was not giving her insulin. It was still stuck to her. It just wasn't providing insulin into her body. Okay. So when the suite mates got back from the weekend, okay, through the wall, through the bathroom, they could hear her breathing. Okay. She had went into ketoacidosis. Okay. Her blood sugar was 700 and something.
Oh my God.
Yes. And it sounded like she's so acidic. What her body's trying to do is get rid of carbon dioxide. That's not the issue. It's not carbon dioxide that's the issue. It's the acids from the ketones that she's been burning. So she goes to the emergency room, and she's in ICU for weeks. Okay? Because they can't bring you down that fast when you're that high with your blood sugar. Okay? So they had to very gradually bring her down, or it causes organ damage and things like that. Okay? So that's just an example of how we can use acidity in the blood as respiratory distress becoming a symptom of their pH imbalance, right? Okay, so that's when this becomes an issue for us. We need to know how good the person is at moving air. Okay? So this spirometer is going to calculate that for us. The males have more volume than females, right? They're bigger. Their lungs are bigger. Okay? They can move a greater volume. If you smoke, what's that going to do to your volume?
Decrease.
Decrease.
If you have COPD, what's that going to do?
Decrease.
Decrease it. Asthma.
Decrease.
So we get a lot of, even age, as you get older, your lungs start wearing out a little bit, right?
Speak for yourself.
If you've had tuberculosis, if you've had emphysema, if you've had pneumonia several times and there's scar tissue in your lungs and that kind of stuff, all those things decrease the ability to move this out.
So, you were talking about the diaphragm earlier, how it goes up and down. If your diaphragm gets too constricted, can that kind of prevent good volume intake in lungs?
So, yes, there are people that have issues with their diaphragm and their ability, you can actually separate your diaphragm from the wall of the body. So now it's not really doing the same constriction that it was able to. So when you inhale, we want to pull it down. When we exhale, you relax it and it goes up. Okay? So it stays more in a relaxed state than you're being able to pull it down. People have a lot of issues that way. Okay? So what I want y'all to do is, at your table, everybody do this. Okay? Everybody do all of these measurements. Okay? And I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these that we can utilize. So, and then let's talk about it for a second. Okay? Let's talk about it. Because, I mean, I can see differences in people's sizes in this room, right? Should that affect how much your lungs are able to inflate?
Yes.
Okay? So, come up here and get you one of these. Follow along with that. If you have questions, holler at me, okay?